If you're standing, you better sit down, because the Los Angeles Rams are still exploring some opportunities on the free agent market, and now a surprising name is starting to gain momentum in discussions about the team's defensive line. I'm about to tell you all the details, but before that, make sure you've already hit the like button, but only do that if you've been a Rams fan for more than 15 years. If you believe we have what it takes to reach the playoffs this season, type this: Go Rams, I believe. Now let's talk about what's happening behind the scenes, and honestly, this caught my attention. A possible trade is putting Kayvon Thibodeau, the former New York Giants first-round pick, at the center of attention as a potential addition for the Rams. And the idea is creating serious debate about whether Los Angeles should make another aggressive move to strengthen the pass rush before the season begins. The discussion started with the belief that the Rams already have one of the most exciting defensive lines in football, but there is still room to add another impact player to the rotation. The proposal came from a hypothetical trade published by ESPN through Rams wire coverage, and the details immediately grabbed attention because of the potential involved. According to the proposed scenario, the Rams would receive Kayvon Thibodeau and a sixth-round pick in 2028, while the Giants would receive a third-round pick in 2028. The Rams would also take on Thibodeau's current contract, valued at $14.5 million. What makes this situation so interesting is the fact that Thibodeau is still a fascinating talent, even though he hasn't fully lived up to the expectations created by being selected near the top of the draft. Coming out of Oregon, many believed he had the potential to become a dominant pass rusher in the NFL. He had size, explosiveness, speed, and the kind of physical profile teams look for when searching for help pressuring opposing quarterbacks. But according to the report's analysis, things simply didn't work out for him with the Giants. Last season especially raised more questions than answers. Thibodeau dealt with a shoulder injury and only appeared in around 10 games. His production numbers were not overwhelming either. He finished with 25 tackles, 13 solo tackles, and just 3 sacks. There were no interceptions, forced fumbles, or fumble recoveries mentioned in the breakdown, which is part of the reason why there is now debate about whether the Giants could consider moving on from him despite the talent he still possesses. At the same time, the Giants have added more talent to their own pass-rushing group, and that changes the entire conversation around Thibodeau's future there. The report specifically points toward Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and another young pass-rushing addition becoming major parts of the Giants' defensive future, potentially pushing Thibodeau further down the pecking order. That is where the Rams suddenly become relevant in this story. The argument being made is simple. If the Rams believe they are close to having a championship-level defense, why not add one more explosive athlete into the rotation and create a nightmare for opposing offensive lines? The current Rams defensive front already features Jared Verse, Byron Young, Braden Fisk, Kobe Turner, Puna Ford, and Josiah Stewart being discussed as part of the defensive mix. The idea of adding another former elite prospect like Thibodeau into that group is exactly why this conversation is gaining momentum among Rams fans. There is also another angle to this entire discussion that makes the situation feel realistic rather than completely impossible. The contract is expensive, but it is only viewed as a short-term commitment under this proposal. The analysis points out that the one-year financial risk could actually make sense for a Rams team looking to go all in for a championship push. If things do not work out, the money would come off the books after the season. If it does work out, then the Rams may suddenly have one of the deepest defensive fronts in the league. The conversation also acknowledges that there are reasons for hesitation. One of the biggest concerns mentioned involves Josiah Stewart. The Rams reportedly like what Stewart brings to the table, and there is excitement around his long-term potential. Bringing in Thibodeau could potentially affect opportunities for younger players already developing inside the organization. That creates a balancing act between investing in homegrown talent and making aggressive moves designed to maximize immediate championship potential. Still, the belief remains that the Rams should at least investigate the possibility. The discussion repeatedly emphasized the importance of making a phone call and simply exploring the situation internally. Questions like whether Thibodeau fits the defensive scheme, whether the coaching staff would want him, and how much draft capital it would truly take are all part of the evaluation process being suggested. Another reason this idea feels compelling is because of the excitement surrounding what the Rams have already built on defense. There is a sense that the team already has a strong foundation and that one more major addition could elevate the unit even further. The thought of rotating Jared Verse, Byron Young, Braden Fisk, Kobe Turner, Poona Ford, Josiah Stewart, and potentially Kayvon Thibodeau together creates the image of relentless pressure throughout games. The report even described the move as an all-in type decision, and that phrase alone tells you everything about the mentality behind this idea. This is not about building slowly for years into the future. This is about maximizing a current opportunity by adding another talented piece who could potentially thrive in a new environment. What also stands out in this entire conversation is that nobody is pretending Thibodeau has already become a dominant star. In fact, the discussion openly questions whether the word star even fits his current level of production. But that honesty is exactly why the trade idea becomes intriguing. The Rams would not be trading for a finished product. They would be betting on upside, betting on untapped potential, and betting that a different situation could help unlock more consistency from a player who still has elite physical traits. And that is where Rams fans seem divided right now. Some will look at the price tag and wonder whether the team should stay patient with the players already on the roster. Others will look at the possibility of adding another explosive edge presence and believe it is worth the gamble, especially if the compensation stays relatively manageable. The suggested trade package involving a future third-round pick and a sixth-round pick swap does not necessarily feel impossible for a team trying to maximize a championship window. There is also the emotional side of this conversation. Fans always love splash moves, especially when the roster already feels competitive. The excitement of adding another recognizable name creates energy around the team, and this report clearly leaned into that feeling by repeatedly talking about wanting another major move before the season begins. For now, this remains a hypothetical scenario. But it is one that is quickly generating discussion because the logic behind it is easy to understand. The Giants suddenly have multiple pass rushers competing for major roles. Thibodeau still has talent and upside. The Rams already have a strong defensive core and may be looking for one more piece to strengthen the rotation even further. When you combine all of those elements together, it becomes obvious why this idea is starting to gain traction. The biggest question now is whether the Rams front office views Thibodeau the same way some analysts do. Do they see a player whose best football is still ahead of him? Do they believe a change of scenery could unlock another level? Or do they trust the current group enough to avoid spending draft capital and salary space on another edge rusher? That is the debate Rams fans are having right now, and it is not slowing down anytime soon. One thing is certain, though. The possibility of adding another explosive defensive player to an already dangerous front has definitely captured attention across the Rams community. What do you think, Rams fans? Should the Rams make a serious push for Kayvon Thibodeau, or should they trust the defensive line group they already have heading into the season? Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and click the video on the screen right now, because the latest Rams news and updates are only found here first.